Once again, I'm Lexi Rydland. I'm the UCCS Nutrition Intern, and I will be presenting on nitric oxide and the glycocalyx. So let's start with what is nitric oxide. I know Dr. Mitchell just went over it, so nitric oxide is a gas molecule that's made by your body, and it acts as a messenger to tell your blood vessels to either get wider, vasodilate, or get narrower, so vasoconstrict, and it helps to regulate blood flow. So it's important to have like the relaxed blood vessels, like Dr. Mitchell just said, instead of the stiff ones. And so that can help to improve blood flow. And so improvements in blood flow can help lower your blood pressure, improve your heart health, get better blood flow to your muscles during exercise, and support bodily functions like immune defense, metabolism, and mitochondrial function. So how do you get more of it, right? That's what we're all here to know. Yeah. So you can get more from exercise, from diet, and worst case supplementation, okay, or more extreme case. All right, so how does exercise increase nitric oxide? So when you're exercising, you get more friction in your blood, so it'll be like harder against the wall of the blood vessel. Okay, so instead of being like soft and light like normal, when you're exercising, it'll cause a little bit more friction. And so this tells the cells that line your blood vessels, so the endothelium, okay, to release the nitric oxide, and then this allows the blood vessels to dilate or open more. And so that lets more blood go through, and the nitric oxide also makes your cells that are lining your blood vessels less sticky. So like the plaques and the clumps can't stick to the walls. And then this means that the plaques can't form. So you can see in the picture, the colors aren't great, but I promise there's like little blood cells there. So you can see the little pyramids over there. So that's like the plaques. That's what we're trying to avoid or trying to decrease. Okay, and then you exercise, and then it helps sort of clear those out or not let them form in the first place. All right, so how does eating the nitrates, how does that help improve your nitric oxide levels? So the nitrate-rich foods are going to be like beets and celery. All right, and we'll go over those a little bit more later. They have nitrate in them, so that's the NO3 that Dr. Mitchell was just talking about. Okay, and then your body converts that to NO2 or nitrite, and then it's converted to nitric oxide. And so then you get the benefits of the nitric oxide, which are improved vascular health, better heart health, lower inflammation, and lower antithrombotics, not letting those plaques stick to your blood vessels. And then another way you can get it is citrulline, right? You can eat stuff with citrulline in it, and then that converts to arginine. And then you see those eNOS and nNOS, okay? So NOS stands for nitric oxide synthase. So those are like genes that your body has to convert arginine and citrulline to nitric oxide. And so eNOS is the endothelial one, so that's the one that tells your blood vessels to dilate. And nNOS is the neuro one, so that one has to do with your brain. So that's your nerves are gonna tell your blood vessels to expand. So they both work together. And so getting nitric oxide from food, so you can get it from beets and celery, are gonna be the highest and your best bet. And so an easy way to do that is 3.5 ounces or about 100 grams of beets, or beetroot juice, or celery. But you don't want to eat more than 10 to 14 ounces of those foods, because then your body it'll be like, well, I don't have to do it. Something else is doing it for me. So I don't have to make it. So I'm not gonna. Okay, it'll take the path of least resistance. And if you're giving it all the nitric oxide, it'll be like, I don't have to make it anymore. So that's why you don't want to go over that amount, so that your body still makes it on its own, because we don't want to like shut down that function of your body. And so also, just a side note, if you, after this, you're like, I'm gonna start eating a lot of beets. I love beets. Your pee and your poop might turn red. So don't be scared, it's not blood. But, if you're like, I'm gonna eat a lot of beets. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm bleeding. No, you're not, you're okay. All right, and so then there are some other foods that are less potent in nitric oxide or the nitrates. So you want to aim for 300 to 400 milligrams per day. And so this column is like about 50 or less. So this is a pretty low amount of nitrates. This one's medium, so 50 to 250. And then this one's high, so over 250. So you could eat like 2 servings of this a day, and that would be a little bit much. Or you could eat like 1 serving of one of these and 1 serving of one of these. So 3.5 ounces is about 100 grams. And so like for the low, you can eat like garlic and broccoli and carrots, and this is all on the handout in the colored thing so you guys can see. And then like cabbage and dill and turnip, for the medium. And then for the high, you can eat things like beets and celery and cress. And cress is a really bitter vegetable. So if you eat that, it can help with your digestive health. So like if you've heard of digestive bitters, you know, you might take those like under the tongue or something. That's sort of like the food version of it instead of the liquid. All right, and then there are also foods that promote nitric oxide to be made instead of like just directly giving you the nitric oxide. So these are things that help in the process of your body making the nitric oxide. So nitric oxide breaks down pretty fast, so these foods are rich in antioxidants, and they also help with the production of nitric oxide. So they help that your body help your body in that process. And so since it breaks down fast, we also kind of want to slow that process down so you can have the effects for a longer amount of time. So things that would be included in this are like pumpkin seeds, white meat like chicken and turkey breast, Brazil nuts, legumes like chickpeas, crucifers like broccoli and cabbage, red meat and seafood, watermelon and eggs. So stuff I'm not throwing anything crazy out there. You have all these in your fridge already. So, and then you might be wondering, like with nitric oxide, what's the difference between the nitrates that we're talking about and the nitrates? Like, isn't that bad? Isn't that to preserve food? Isn't that like what's in salami and pepperoni and stuff like that? And so now we're gonna get into why they're different. So the nitrates that are in processed meats are added in order as a preservative. So those are things like sausages and bacon and salami and like other deli meats. And so these nitrates get converted to nitrosamines, which are carcinogenic. So you can see that in this pathway right here. So you eat the bad food, right? They have the added nitrates in it. Your body converts that to the carcinogenic nisotramines, and then that increases your risk of things like colon cancer, okay? And then the nitrates in vegetables are natural though. Nobody added those. We're not, to preserve vegetables, I don't think you use nitrates. But they have these naturally. So these are like the good ones. So, because they have a bunch of antioxidants in there, and then that's how you get all those benefits that we talked about earlier from the diet. And so you guys at the beginning, you had the strip, and Miranda came around and showed you guys the little chart, right? So you were like, oh no, mine's really low. Oh no, right? Like a lot of people, or some people were taking the supplement already. So you were like, mine's really high. I'm good. I'm just here to brag. So the nitric oxide amount in your saliva is similar to the amount that's in your blood. So like if you were to go and get your blood drawn to test nitric oxide, which I don't think that's a very popular test, but because the spit is so much easier. So it should be similar. So if the lab tells you it's low in your blood, it's going to be low in your spit too, and vice versa. So the smoothie has a steamed beet in it. So that's, you can get them at like natural grocers and Sprouts and stuff. They're like already peeled and steamed, but since they're steamed, right, they had heat added onto them. And when you add heat to the nitrate-rich foods, the nitrate amount reduces. So it's not as powerful anymore, but it still has some in there, I promise. It still has enough in there. It's just if you wanted like, no, I need more of a punch, then I would recommend just using a whole beet, like just a regular one. And the consistency of the smoothie just might change a little bit, but it's still edible, I promise. And then it had ginger and strawberries and blueberries for the antioxidants, and then orange juice, I feel like helps sweeten it up a little bit and not make it so earthy. And then you lemon. Okay, and then at the end of this, right after our, at like 11:30, you guys will test it again. And then if your strip does not increase in the amount, like if it doesn't get a darker pink, you might have a gene mutation in one of those NOS genes that we talked about earlier. So you had the eNOS and the nNOS. You might have a mutation in there that your body just doesn't convert it as well. So you still have it in there, but it's not as good as somebody who maybe doesn't have the gene mutation in there. But it's not life or death, I promise you. Okay. So if the diet's not enough, if the exercise isn't enough, then Dr. Mitchell might recommend you taking a supplement if this is something that you're interested in increasing, right? So we have a bunch of different supplements that you can try. So I'm sure when you come in before, right, they have the bowl and they have these in there. So these have beetroot and grapeseed extract, and those help with the nitric oxide support. And then you can also take arginine. Arginine and citrulline, even though they're amino acids, you can take them as a supplement. And so you can take up to 30 grams a day for arginine, and you can take, so studies have shown that 2.5 to 6 grams per day has been shown to increase nitric oxide. Production, improve athletic performance, and reduce feelings of exertion when you're exercising if you take, like with the citrulline. And then for the most, this is like the highest, like I need a lot of help. Dr. Mitchell might recommend the Vascanox, which was the supplement that you guys took. And so that is a beetroot and black garlic extract for the nitric oxide to increase the nitric oxide, but then to help that nitric oxide be more bioavailable and get into your body better, it has like berry extracts and vitamins and minerals in it to support that. So the Glycocalyx, as Dr. Mitchell already discussed, they're little hair-like things inside of your vasculature. And I think of them as a security guard that sort of tells your body what it can or what it should and should not accept from the blood, right? So you can eat, if you have McDonald's or something gross, it can say, no, I don't want any of those chemicals from there in me. So the Glycocalyx are sort of like, stop, don't go in. But if it's something healthy, like a beet, it'll be like, oh yes, please, I would like to absorb that, thank you. So kind of like the gut lumen too, right? And when they're healthy, they help in the production of nitric oxide. And so they can be damaged from inflammation and oxidative stress. So inflammation is the body's response to a harmful stimulus like toxins or injury. And then oxidative stress is harmful molecules that are floating around in your body, and they can be decreased by eating antioxidants. So think of like the free radicals that you might have heard about before. So these two can help, can happen from eating processed foods that are high in added salt and sugar. So decreasing your amount of processed foods, or like, the stuff that comes in a package, the stuff you get fast food, decreasing those can help not have this happen. So when you have your Glycocalyx healthy, right, they're guarding, right? And they're not letting this little channel right here open. So this is like from your blood to your body. And then here you can see like after I don't know, if you've eaten a lot of like sugar that day, like it was Easter, you had a bunch of Easter candy, they start to break down a little bit, and then the bad stuff can get into your body easier and you can get it absorbed. And so Glycocalyx is responsible for telling your body to release nitric oxide into the blood. So when you have that friction right against them, they're like, okay, the blood's moving, I need to relax these blood vessels so that it can go through. So I'm gonna release that nitric oxide to help open up those blood vessels. So when they're healthy, you can get all the benefits that we've talked about with nitric oxide, and when they're damaged or unhealthy, they can't do their job. So this can be like unhealthy Glycocalyx or like damaged can be seen in people with diabetes and also with atherosclerosis. So that's the plaques on your arteries. And then, so what if you're like, I want my Glycocalyx to be as healthy as possible. What can I do to try to prevent, make sure that nothing is sticking to my vasculature? So these are all on one of the pages, I'm pretty sure, just so you can have it for your reference, because I know that this slide is a lot. But it's important to get good amounts of vitamin D, omega-3 fatty acids, probiotics like lactobacilli and bifidobacteria, antioxidant-rich foods, which can help decrease that oxidative stress. Dietary sulfur can be found in olaceous vegetables like garlic and onion, and also cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and kale. And so sulfur enhances nitric oxide production, lowers blood pressure, and improves your detoxification pathways. And also it's important to limit added sugar and salt found in processed foods, because those can directly affect your Glycocalyx. I think that's, yeah, thank you.